Hello everybody and welcome right around Australia, as you well and truly know because you're watching it and the intro said it, it is NBL Overtime. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. We're jam-packed. Pete Hooley in the house.
Good to be back.
How you doing, man?
Oh, man, little super sub action. I don't mind. I love talking to you blokes, and there's plenty going on in the NBL world as always.
NBL.com.au to get involved. Awards watch. I see that drop. We'll touch a little bit more on that. And our man Copes is back, man. Hello to you.
Good to be back, brother.
Thinking of you and the family last week, man. We missed you, and we are very happy you are back.
Thank you, sir.
Because I'm going to start with you.
This guy's regular, though. Is he becoming a regular?
Yeah. You know what? We haven't heard from Liam Sandon in 3 weeks. We don't know where he is.
My sixth man of the year for overtime. I'll be up there.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yep.
No, really. You're actually one show away from winning it.
Okay. Oh, I hope I get another one.
No, we knew where Liam was. Maybe we'd be able to find out. Hey, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
You're a former assistant coach of the Sydney Kings.
Yes.
They're the two-time reigning champions.
Yes.
Right now, though, a little bit of worry about them. Where do you sit with them?
Well, sitting at home watching them play, they look like they've given up.
Oh.
I mean, the defense is horrendous. And you don't expect that from a Sydney Kings team. Like you said, they've won 2 championships in a row. They've done it the right way, too. They play hard, okay? But I'm sitting at home watching these guys. Their defense, they're giving up 94 points a game, which is not going to win a lot of games. Teams have scored 100 points on them 5 times, I think, or 7 times, or whatever. 8 times. That's disgusting. You're not going to win a lot of games. You're not going to, even if you make the top 6, you're going to be out of there so quick. You got to play defense in this league.
It doesn't make sense, too, when you look at the roster, right? Because they reloaded very well. You look at the talent and the talent for it not to be working. And, again, the way they're playing right now, a lot of us expected this to be the start of the season.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If you thought now, you think it's November, right, with the way they're going about it. And there's obviously a lot of heat in the media, and understandably so, because...
Matty Logue's just dropped off quickly.
Yeah, again. But, again, the way you looked at it, and again, I had it from about 3 or 4... days from now, I thought they'd be at their best. And they're a long way off that, aren't they? And again, as Cope said, defensively, the numbers they're staggering because just to contend to win an NBL title, you need to be a very good defensive team. So have a look at this. When they do hold teams under 90, they're 7-2. And as you said, Coach, they're worse in the league, giving up 94 points. Over 90, they're 3 wins and 8 losses, and they've got that underneath, as you mentioned, Coach. They've given up 100 points 8 times.
That's just too many.
5 of them at home. That is just way too many. And again, I'm not sure where they go from here because they've tried a bunch of different things. They've tried to switch, they've tried man, they've tried zone. I hope we never see zone in the NBL once again. But everyone's scratching their heads.
It's interesting, right? You hit the nail on the head. We touched this on at the start of the year. The fact is that they brought in new imports, whole new starting 5. They lost Xavier Cooks, they lost Vasilovic, they lost their coach. Things were going to take a little bit of time. And honestly, the expectation got raised mainly because they played a hell of a lot better early in the year than I think a lot of people expected them to do. Of course, Galloway was really good. Hogue wasn't there. Jalen Adams has been the MVP and started pretty nicely. They were getting great bench players. They always do with that bench crew led by Sean Bruce, Quatnoy, Angus Glover. Weirdly enough, those guys, or 2 of those guys, are currently starting. It boggles the mind. And the fact that Hogue was injured early and then Galloway was injured and then Hogue is now injured again. There's a Valentine issue because he's coming off the bench, which is clearly a place that I don't think he plays his best basketball. So the chemistry issues that they're looking at right now, in particular defensively, is something that everyone expected 2 months ago. I will preface this by saying they aren't as good as Perth and Melbourne. In fact, they're quite a fair bit off them, and we've seen that last week. But they're top 4.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So while this whole, you know what, they're gone, people are saying they can't win the championship, I don't tip them right now to win the championship, and I would absolutely back those 2 in particular teams to beat them, probably Tasmania in a 3-game series as well. But geez, I tell you what, if they're able to get this right, and if the coach, and it's a big if, because there clearly looks to be a couple of buy-in issues. But if they can sort this out, they've won enough games to give themselves a chance.
You mentioned buy-in, and that's why I'm with you. So it's fixable. All this stuff is fixable. So I've found some clips, but I want you to have a look at a couple of things. Look at how many times they've sent 2 guys to the ball. Look at the miscommunication here. There you go, 2 guys to the ball. This is early in the game, no rotation. I know you're going to have to leave Chris Golding, but someone has to, you trust someone else get your back here. So another one right here. 2 guys to the ball. No one's going to close out. Kyle Bowen had already hit 2 threes at this stage of the game. Where's that hustle? Where's the communication? They just look flat. Look at this closeout from Denzel Valentine. Tanner Krebs didn't even catch the ball on the hop. He fumbled it as well. Miscommunication, 2 guys to the ball. That's a dunk to Josh Bannon. Everyone's kind of pointing the fingers as well. This one here, 3 guys on 1. Casey Prather, late rotation. These kind of things, these are just a few clips
Well,
that
hang on.
happen.
So, is this a coaching thing?
No, I don't.
Or is it an effort thing?
I think
It's a bit of both.
Again, it's a bit of both because you look at it and understand that people want to talk about the coach. This is their zone. The zone, there's more holes in this than Swiss cheese. There is so many holes in that zone. But you mentioned coaching, you mentioned personnel. It's the miscommunication. It's not being locked in every possession, taking multiple possessions off. They started the season under McMurdo as like a full switching team. That is so hard to do, but if you get it right, you can be really good at it. But I don't like switching defenses. Coach, we spoke of this because it's a cop-out.
Yep.
It's a cop-out because a lot of times you say, okay, we're going to be a switching team. There's no screen. Hey, you go to get that guy. I'm chilling now. I don't have to worry about it.
You know what I don't see on this team? I don't see anybody on the floor yelling and screaming. Now, in my era, I want to talk about my era, we played in an era where if you didn't do your job, someone on that floor was going at you. These guys are too comfortable, man. They're laid back. It's almost as if we won 2 championships. Let's take a year off.
Yeah.
It looks bad, and I can tell you right now, as being an ex-coach up in Sydney, they're not happy. Those fans pay a lot of money for those tickets. They expect you to win.
And honestly, their fans deserve better because there's 13,000 of them turning out. It's not easy in Sydney as a professional sporting organisation to get that type of buy-in week in, week out, and they're doing that. They've had top dollar the last couple of years. Look, again, I don't think they can right now win it based on what we've seen over the last month, but it's not let's jump off because they've won enough games to give themselves an opportunity. You were in the building. Did anything stick out for you last Thursday night?
Not so much. I saw a lot of people online talking about it as well. So when you've just lost and things aren't going your way, you lose to a rival like Melbourne United. A lot of people brought this up, and this is post-game to losing on your home floor by double digits to Melbourne United. And a lot of fans weren't happy with the smiling, the joking around, and I understand that as a passionate fan, right? But I preface this with saying when I played, I didn't take losses to heart too much and everything, but the point I want to raise with that and everybody being unhappy with that as a Sydney fan, we're there early for the games, right, in venue, and I was talking to one of the Melbourne United players. I spoke to Sean Bruce before that as well. And I said, what did you guys get up to New Year's Eve? You guys are up in Cairns, surely you went out there, and they said they wanted to have a couple of beers. One of the guys wanted to have just a couple of quiet beers, and he said everyone went to their room, shut themselves, and was just pissed off they lost. And again, you look at that, and you look at where that is, you look at the 2 different teams where they're at, and it kind of makes sense, right? Like, how much does it hurt that you want to try and figure it out? So I do think there's still enough talent and glimpses of what we've seen that if they do have that buy-in, if they do want to switch it on, they're going to be a very good team. But you mentioned guys keeping other people accountable, being verbal. I look at that roster, and I'm like, it's probably Sean Bruce and then who? Yeah. There's not really anyone. That's why he got moved from the starting lineup. Jalen Adams is very quiet. DJ Hogue is quiet, but DJ Hogue was a great defender last year. Galloway, elite defender. Jordan Hunter, good defender. The pieces are there. It's just about trying to figure out that buy-in.
They'll win a playoff game. They'll win a playoff game. I think they'll win a playoff game, not a play-in game. I think they will make the Final Four and they win a playoff game. I absolutely have Melbourne and Perth better than them right now, but I wouldn't jump totally off them. Fixable stuff.
You know what generally fires teams up like this?
Yeah.
Us talking about them.
Absolutely.
As soon as we say something bad about them, they go out and play hard, which is the wrong way to be.
But you know what this league is, Copes?
Yeah.
This is absolutely a week-to-week league. And I don't just mean with this particular show, I mean with a lot of people, right? I think, now I hope that I'm right in saying this, I think they play Adelaide in Adelaide, and then they play New Zealand at home, right? Win. If they win, and it's absolutely, I can see it being possible. All of a sudden next week we go, you know what, whatever happened, whatever kick they got up the backside worked, and the whole narrative changes.
If they flick the switch, they're not a team you want to play in the finals because they've got the talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just on the coach, here's a little bit from him post-game on Sunday. Actually, my apologies. That is actually, this is the management backing him in. Yes. Right? So there you go. Obviously via the Herald Sun and News Corp right around the country.
You know what that means.
There you go.
Kiss of death?
No, it's not as much as a full support of the board. I got nervous. I was like, well, what is this? What is this quote?
You know what? Last time somebody came out with the full support of the board, it was John Rillie from the Perth Wildcats, and they turned into maybe the best team in the league in the last couple of months, which we'll get to shortly. So they say all the right things there. Then absolutely, he's fine in this particular year, and I guess the off-season chats are
different. The difference is in Sydney, there's pressure. I don't care what you say.
That's pressure.
Pressure from the owner, the owners, pressure from the fans. They expect you to win. And like in Perth, they expect you to win. Some teams don't expect you to win every year. They want you to win every year. If you don't, they find changes.
When you set a standard, of excellence of which they have, both on and off the court in the last 2.5 years, this is kind of what comes with it. And there's pros and cons of taking a high-profile job like the Sydney Kings, and this is perfectly it now. As is with John Rillie, of course. The Perth Wildcats started a little sluggishly. Hey, look, hashtag NBL Overtime. We were getting absolutely bombarded at NBL socials. Anyone wanted to take to absolutely anything. Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Threads, if that is still a thing. They were jumping on it and whacking John Rillie. All of a sudden, they are the best performed team in the league. We're going to start with you, Pete Hooley. Do we owe John Rillie a apology?
100%. And again, I think, but this is the way it goes, right? And again, this is just professional sports in general. We're quick to scapegoat coaches, and we're quick to put heat on coaches. And on the flip side, we're very slow at giving flowers or giving them their respect when it needs
Not as
to
slow as you.
Well, I don't want to quote our main man, Homicide, who says, you better keep that same energy, fam. And this is what happens, right? In all sports.
Yeah.
The energy that people bring, negative energy, is never matched by the positivity when things turn around. And that's absolutely 100% right. When John Rillie and they were struggling and everyone wanted him gone, and get Trevor Gleeson back. Yeah. Right? That's what all of us screaming. All of a sudden, John Rillie's turned this team into the, well, if not the best team, the best performed team in the last couple of weeks. And you don't hear a beep congratulating John Rillie. It's just all about Bryce Cotton, of which he deserves his flowers as well.
Were we stating the obvious, though? They were 2-5.
Yeah, that's
somebody needed to say something.
Yeah.
The Perth Wildcats, like the Sydney Kings, expect to win.
Yeah.
So the fact that you got this team that's playing great right now, why weren't they playing great back then?
So that's 100%. You are 100% correct, because people were just spitting facts, or in some
right at the
case,
we're all correct at the time.
But you've also got to give some type of love to the man right now for the way he is coaching, which I don't think. And we can lead this because maybe we don't do it as well on this show. But there doesn't seem to be as much love for John Rillie as there should be. He had to tweak some things. He's obviously made Doolittle a very, very valuable part of it. He's been able to get Bryce Cotton better shots. Keanu Pinder's energy defensively is still something I think they need to work on collectively, but there is no doubt they are a much better team, and 5 or 6 of those players have improved since the middle of November, and Hiram Harris is a perfect example of that.
Hiram Harris, again, this is why you got to give him his flowers for making the big calls, because it could have gone the other way, but he had to do something. He understands as a head coach you've got to do something. Brought Hiram Harris in, put Wagstaff in the rotation, shortened the rotation a little bit, moved Doolittle down to the 3, and it's come up trumps. And right now they're the top 2 teams.
Here's a question for you, though.
Hit me.
Now, because we expect them to win,
here we go.
If they don't win it, are we still giving him those flowers? I'm a John Rillie fan. I think he's done a tremendous job.
If they don't win the title?
Yes.
But they make the grand final series?
If they say they don't make the grand final, and they're playing great basketball, but they don't make the grand final. Okay?
Well, it depends on where they end up.
It also depends on how those games look, right?
What's the minimum baseline for a successful season?
Right.
What is it?
They got to finish second and they don't make a grand final series.
I agree. You agree?
I mean, the way they're playing right now, because we look at Melbourne United, we look at Perth, then Tassie, and then there's a drop-off, right? So it's like you're there. Yeah. You're there, and with what you've shown, what we've seen since round 5, you should be in a grand final series.
There you go. Okay.
You've been that good. You've been one of the top 2 teams in the league. That unless there's an injury, when there's something drastic that happens, the way we've all seen it, you should be playing in a grand final series.
And he'll get plenty of flowers.
Well, he should.
If he makes a grand final, trust me.
The Wagstaff thing is interesting. He had a DNP CD in a milestone game. Next thing you know, he's rolling on out, and he's a huge part of their revival. Alex R. Now, is this a shutdown? I know he's got a little tweak. I understand all of that, but it is a really interesting time. The mock drafts continually have him at either 1 or 2. That looked really nasty. Yep. He did play the game out, and honestly, played really well, right, in that nice win. Now, on the back of that, they've taken the precautionary way about it, which is what he absolutely should be doing. Does it hurt them? Does it hurt them late in the year, though, if he's not available on a regular basis?
It's probably going to hurt him because he came in and gave him that spark. Defensively, he can shoot it from the outside. He blocks shots. He runs the floor. He was playing well. But if I'm his agent and I see that, and he's potentially number 1 pick, I'm shutting him down, man. You got to sit down, bro. And I know he's one of those type of players that want to play and want to contribute to the team and want to help out. He's never going to see the Perth Wildcats again, bro.
I believe there's some other top prospects injured outside of the Next Stars program, which I'm wondering whether that weighs into the conversation as well, right? That if that is the case, and some other people that he's competing with for the 1 and 2 spot, obviously the lottery's still got to happen to see what team there is, but it is a very interesting thing because he has been great for Perth. He's been really good for them off the bench, and also while we're at it, big shout out to Ty Webster. You talk about controlling the ship. He has been enormous in this turnaround as well. I don't think we've given him his due either.
No, the only game they lost and really got belted was that Illawarra game where Ty Webster didn't play. play, and they pretty much just threw double teams at Bryce the entire time through. He's a huge part of how they're playing well. Talking Bryce Cotton, your awards watch, nbl.com.au. Make sure you check the article out. Far and away, the award is now Bryce Cotton's again.
Well, I mean, unless he falls off the face of the earth in the last few rounds.
Let's knock on wood, because, we don't want that to happen.
No, exactly right. But
it'd really devastate us.
He's been unbelievable, and again, he's put a gap right now between him and the next. What was it? Probably about 3 weeks ago. When we were talking about Chris Golding, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, Chris Golding was leading at the time, but now Bryce Cotton has just continued to put his foot down. He has been unbelievable, and this man, you know what he is? He's inevitable.
Yeah.
Bryce Cotton is inevitable. That when he gets going, and I don't think anybody wrote him off after the first 5 rounds. A lot of people just had the question marks thinking, what's going on with Bryce? And a lot of that was trying to figure out their offensive style. There was a lot of new pieces. And I keep bringing back to the fact that I think he was being too unselfish, trying to get the biggest free agent signing, Keanu Pinder, going. I think he was like, I'm putting all my energy into this, rather than realising that while he's suiting it up, everyone's going to come along for the ride. He's going to do his thing.
What do we got? 7 weeks to go? 6, 7
Feels
weeks?
about right.
Yeah, okay. Now, like you said before, a couple of weeks ago, it was Chris Golding. Bryce Cotton's playing like this now. If Bryce drops off a little bit.
He's got to go down, though.
Yeah. If he drops off and evens out, and Lamb, who's averaging 20 points a game, goes this way, and New Zealand start to win, then surely he's in the conversation as well.
So, I'm with you. I love Anthony Lamb. I think he's their most valuable player, and Jackson Cartwright's been outstanding, don't get me wrong. But I think Anthony Lamb's by far the best player at New Zealand. The thing is that probably works so much more for Bryce Cotton is that when he has done this, what he's doing now is the reason the Perth Wildcats are the second best team on the ladder, and currently probably the best informed team in the league. So if he drops away, the Wildcats will lose some games that they haven't been losing, and all of a sudden the conversation becomes a little more interesting.
Team performance matters too, right? So you talk about those two.
So it should. If you don't make the playoffs, you shouldn't win. Shouldn't be in consideration.
100% that matters, but those two being in contention where they're at on the ladder. But it also brings up the All-NBL conversation with it has no positions now, and I'm looking through the last couple of weeks.
Give me a 5 right now. On the roll.
And we talked about this earlier too.
Let's work this out together.
Okay.
Cotton,
done. Golding,
done.
Lamb. PJC.
You can't have two. So you can't have New Zealand.
Okay, so
you can't have 2 New Zealand players in on the 6.
Lamb.
Yeah, Lamb will have in.
Okay.
Pat Miller.
Doyle.
Miller and Doyle.
All guards, and we spoke about
this won't happen, man. I'm telling you.
All guards, and I said this on the show. I said because this league is a guard league.
Yep.
And if you get 5 guards that are playing great, you cannot cancel one of those guys and put in somebody who's not playing great because he's a 5-man.
See, it does make me. At the time, it didn't, because I'm with you, Cam, when I say the coaches and captains vote, and they will vote on.
They will. They'll put a
positions.
Big in.
They'll put a position.
They'll put a big in.
So why do we take positions out then when we say that?
Because you trust. Look at the EuroLeague. The EuroLeague's had, I think it's had 3 forwards, 2 guards since they've done it for the last few years. But the more I've been looking at it, Alan Williams is averaging 17 and 10, right? And then from that, who's been a dominant centre in the league? There's not too many out there where you'd vote in over these guys, right? Mitch Creek's probably one who'll probably make it as well. He's been really good for the Phoenix. So Anthony Lamb, he's a big, but he plays on the wing a little bit at times. But then I'm looking at, okay, so...
Are you going to have Lamb as your big?
who are the locks, though? So Bryce, CG, Lamb, locks.
I don't know if Lamb's a lock only because he's missed games and New Zealand aren't necessary. So I think right now, this is what I said at the time.
So there's 2.
I couldn't agree with you anymore about what you were saying. It's a guards league.
Right.
But I think the coaches, when they sit down and the captains will say, look, we can't put together 5 guards. We need a big. Now, I still think the stipulation should have been like mandatory 1 guard, 1 big, or one wing and 1 inside, I think. But
team performance doesn't matter.
I think, well, it does to an extent where the coaches sit down and go, we can't have 5 guards. We're going to have to squeeze JLA, or we're going to have to squeeze Williams, or we're going to have to try and squeeze him in, but he's missed too much basketball probably to do it. Lamb probably gets squeezed.
My question here,
that's the conversation.
Would you put Alan Williams 17 and 10 in over Pat Miller at Cairns?
No, because Source has missed too many games.
So Pat Miller, there's another guy that goes in there. So then you look at, okay, would you put in Milton Doyle or Jordan Crawford over Source's 17 and 10?
Well, I would put Doyle in. What you are saying, I'm going to preface this, right? You are 100% correct. And where we sit, the coaches are smarter than us, and they're going to think about it from a pure basketball sense. So I'll just pick a couple.
It's one of those years...
Dean Vickerman isn't going to sit there and go, I'm putting 5 guards as my nomination.
Is it fair to say this league, I've been here 30 years, this league picks MVPs on points? Is it fair to say that?
Most
of them do. Most of them do.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so if you look at those guards on that list, most of them are averaging.
But this is, you look at last season, like Alan Williams was huge last season. Keanu Pinder was massive last season for Cairns. So this year, the dominant centre, JLA's been up and down at times. So it's kind of like you can make a case for him at times. It's been really heavy guard dominant this season. Which unfortunately is the time that we've changed the rules. It just happens to be.
We changed the rule in the middle of the season.
When the guards are elite.
Come on. I said
the thing is, this isn't going to be a conversation that's going to go away going forward because it's always going to be, the way basketball is, an elite guard league.
Somebody's going to miss out.
NBL 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. You would feel that one of them's going to miss out.
Somebody's going to miss out. And it's not fair. You know it.
Hey, man, we're guards. It's cool.
I know. Maybe we should get a big guy on the show. We had Sauce, but he left us. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Probably too soon. Quick break. Plenty more next.
Southeast Melbourne Phoenix team thoroughly outclassed by this young rising Hawks squad who, led by that man, are fast making a charge on those play-in spots.
Our goal is to keep moving on up the ladder and keep finding a way to better ourselves as a group. And I think those guys are starting really to believe every day, even in practice mostly, where it starts at and when it shows in the game, but we've been working on hard all through the week. And we can come out here and play as well as we did. I think that just builds our confidence through the roof.
Huge win for Illawarra. Justin Tatum, you can see why he really is getting the most out of this crew. The way he speaks after matches and the way that he speaks in timeouts and to his charges is a big reason why they're 7-2. And I'm going to ask you, Lanard Copeland.
Yes.
I will say 7-2 since he took over.
Yes.
Is he the coach of the year?
For me?
Yeah.
I think so.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why.
Hit me.
Because of the buy-in from the players. He didn't change players. He didn't change stadiums. He didn't change basketballs. He kept the same guys, and everybody's playing better now. Harvey is passing the ball now, all right? Frawling is getting the ball and scoring now, all right? Everybody's bought in. I don't know what he offered him. Did he offer him tickets to the Boston Celtics because his son's playing? I don't know what he offered, but they are now playing, and they're scaring people. You don't want to go to Illawarra and play these guys because they're playing so well. And yeah. Now, wait. The buy-in. I got to go back to the buy-in. There's only a couple of coaches in this league that demand that sort of respect. Dean Vickerman. If you're not playing defense, you're going to come sit next to me, okay? Roth. If you're not playing well, you're going to come sit next to me. That's how he's performing now as a coach, and that's why I think he's a coach of the year.
Well, it's too early to call, really, for Justin Tatum. He's only coached the 9 games. Firstly, and most importantly, he is eligible, I found out.
Good.
He is eligible to win it.
Good.
He will be in the conversation as this continues. Again, the thing that may not work in his favour is they've got 11 games left. Yeah. They've got more games than anyone else left to play. If he continues at this rate, and you're going to just look at the sample size that is him taking over, here's their run home. So Tasmania away, that's a big game.
Huge.
Yep. You want to really, I keep talking about tests. I'm talking about tests. It's not just one game, as I mentioned, okay? Yep. It's not just the game they went into Christmas Day and beat Sydney. It's not the time they beat Perth. It's if they have a couple times stumbling in a row. And to be honest, I'm looking at round 17 there. That Perth away, New Zealand at home. Mm-hmm. That's a massive test, back-to-back games. So they've got more games than anyone else, but also what helps is the way he's been rotating through players. Look how many double headers they've got. Everyone's fresh and they're young, and the way they're playing, it's like an ice hockey game, so I don't think the double headers matter too much for them. And he will be 100% in the conversation. I think the recency bias of it is a little bit, okay, we've just kind of forgotten about, if we're looking at a 9-game stretch, well, we can pick John Rillie's 9-game stretch to look at. We can pick Dean Vickerman's 9-game stretch to look at, and both of those would probably take the nod. I still have Dean Vickerman leading it with what he's done with Melbourne United. John Rillie's right in the conversation for turning things around, and the way that Justin Tatum's going, it looks like a 3-man race, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it closes. And the way they're going, if he loses 1 or 2 more games, and that's it for the rest of the season, then it becomes a no-brainer, right?
If they make the Final Four, right? They make the Final Four, there's a legitimate push for him to be Coach of the Year. But you are right. Dean Vickerman, they've had a huge amount of injuries, Melbourne United. People kind of forget that and just say, well, they've got a good list, sure they should be good. Well, you know what? He's still got to be able to coach a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, and they've been the best team in it. And John Rillie, as much as we talk about Illawarra with the new coach, we spoke about it earlier. All of a sudden, he was able to turn it around. So we just kind of say, oh, well,
he's got
Bryce Cotton. So we kind of diminish coaches at different times. Has Justin Tatum done an unbelievable thing? Absolutely. And I don't think it just helps what's happening on court. Off court, Illawarra have their issues. We know that financially, support, buy-in from the fans hasn't necessarily been on a regular basis. And in a smaller market, that is crucial to making sure the team goes in the right direction. So he's been able to buy the community into this team, and I think that's a huge part of it as well. But was it Damon? Did Damon say 100% he should be there?
Yeah.
Come on, Damon. We just
He's from Illawarra. He played in Illawarra.
What? No way. I wouldn't have guessed that.
What do you do? What do you do with some of these guys? Because, like, say, the marketplace is back. You're on the marketplace, aren't you? And so much of that conversation around off-season is now starting to fire up. We'll park Harvey, because if he becomes naturalised, he's going to be a lot more in demand.
Sure,
but, like, Clark and Robinson are your two guys. Are you keeping them?
Clark, 100%.
Yep.
I mean, this is the player that we thought was going to be elite, and it took him a while. Justin Robinson, though, he started to look good in the last couple of weeks. I was so high on Justin Robinson at the beginning of the season, and we know he didn't start anywhere near to his expectation. A lot of others.
Coming off a serious injury, too, that I think people...
That's another true thing as well. He's obviously shot the three a lot poorer than he has in the past, and he shot the three in his NBA, nowhere near as poor as he has in the NBL. And we're starting to see this roll now from Justin Robinson, the way he puts the ball on the floor, how quick he is at these kind of moves right here. If he finishes the season strong, then absolutely you're looking at it right. I think, again, his potential, what he could be if he continues to do this consistently, it's a conversation you've definitely got to have. But Gary Clark's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree.
I think him and Falling together are the best 4-5 tandem, or close to the best 4-5 tandem in the league in the last 10 games, the way they're playing. Falling demands the ball now, but this guy can open it up, shoot it from outside, and he's smart enough to get Falling going when Falling needs the ball, but he can get himself going as well.
You know, again, we talk about Justin Tatum and John really making big decisions. When Justin Tatum took over, you know why this team is so good? You mentioned them as a 4 or 5 combo, because they're now big focused. Everyone else is mostly guard focused.
That's right.
But they said, hey, we're going with Froling A1, Gary Clark A2, and then, hey, we're going to sprinkle some things in for Tyler Harvey here. He's not forcing anymore. Yeah. That's helping him. Yeah. Justin Robinson's finding his spots. But they are all about getting their big fellas rolling, because they don't think anyone else can stop them. And they're winning a lot of games because of it. Did you see the game the other day when they threw the ball into Froling, the first 5 or 6 plays of the game, and he got going? So now everyone's focusing on him, and it opens it up for everybody. And you bring in Jong Lee, they got shooters, they knock it down.
But that goes as well when you have momentum and things are going well, right? Mm-hmm. Like in a situation where you are looking at a 3-15 season, right? People are trying to get their numbers, people are trying to get their stats, and you become self-centered sometimes organically, because you can always say at the end of the season your agent's going to push, but you know what? We were no good, but geez, he had 17 points at this type of clip. All of a sudden, the buy-in just momentum just continues to snowball. So winning
solves everything.
It does. Winning solves everything. If they finish top 4, it's a real conversation.
Yeah,
Now, we have to be honest about something. They've been great. But we can't take too much out of last Friday night.
Yeah.
Because this South East Melbourne Phoenix team, who are in a real bad spot right now. Look, and injuries are the main reason for it. Yeah. No imports to go there. They're just trying to string guys together. Have a look. There's the games missed. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Craig Moeller again. Gax missed a great deal. Big Source continues to struggle with that knee after the sluggish start. Mitch Creek's their best player in their dog. I know they won on Christmas Day without him, but they can't do it continually. Turangi, and he's missed one also with the birth of his child. So I think it's 3 games. Gary Brown, a lot of people, myself included, thought he shouldn't have been allowed to play last week. He missed it anyway through injury. So injuries is where it starts. When you go anywhere without your 3 imports, every team is going to struggle when you are 3 of your main important 4 players. But they've got to fix this quickly, Pete Hooley. I don't know how they do it, because so much of this is resting on the guys and their health. But geez, this has got ugly really fast.
It has, and you actually look at the last couple of seasons, how many times they've missed key players through injury. And you remember Ryan Brockhoff, he couldn't catch a break, and it happens nearly every season. That luck side of thing is just really unfortunate, and it sucks to see, because they just can't find continuity. But the guys they still had on the floor, I mean, you're talking about the Ben Ayers and the Ruben. It's like, did you see the whole game? Did you see the fight there? And again, it is hard, because there's players who have been in that position, and you've got a team that is on the flip side. You talk about momentum. Yep. They're all smiles. Everything's going perfectly for Illawarra. So that's probably the worst matchup for them in that game. And I'm sure it would have stung for everybody involved for the Phoenix. But now it's all about, to me, Mike Kelly in the press conference said he's going to look at it, obviously, and review it. But It's a flush game for me, right? You're missing so many players. I'm looking at the tape and just saying, I'm probably flushing that and saying we just can't.
But the fact that you're missing so many players, your top 3 imports, I mean the top
imports in
imports you can do. Slow the ball down.
Yeah.
You can't lose by 40 points.
Nah, Copes.
That's no good for anybody. Your confidence, the team, the look is bad.
That is firstly, that is right. Losing by 40 is never good. But they had a crack. Now, it didn't work for them. The other team, and they're playing great basketball, but you just can't slow down and play this horrible, ugly.
Make it ugly.
Make it
ugly, Cam.
It's too hard to make it ugly when you
when
haven't
you got
the
an ugly
personnel.
team. Not when you got an ugly team.
I'm with Copes on this.
Bro, you got to slow that thing down. You can't run with a team like Illawarra.
I think there are ways to make a game ugly if you need to.
What actually happened is the other team are better than them, right? Based on the personnel that got put out there.
No kidding.
And they're just running track beat, and all of a sudden you're caught up and you're trying to chase up. I get the whole playing ugly thing.
40 points?
But 20 points,
lose
40
by
points.
20.
Makes no difference.
What? Are you kidding me? Okay,
What Coach is saying, take the possessions.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand trying to make it ugly. It's just not as easy to do with the personnel when you're clearly outmatched on the night.
I'm walking it down the court. I'm slowing it down. If I got to play zone or whatever, I got to play.
No more zones.
Okay, I know you don't like zones. All I'm saying is you got to make that thing ugly. To lose by 40, your players lose confidence. The team loses confidence. Mate, everyone around you loses confidence.
If you had a loss by 20, right, I couldn't agree more with what you're trying to suggest. I just don't think they had the personnel to actually do that. If you lose by 20 and the score is 70-50, that doesn't help the confidence of your men anymore.
Yes,
anymore.
It does.
No,
Yes,
it doesn't. 20 or 40.
What do you think?
What do you think? Right now, I'm more concerned that you had to write down a 2-0 to remember what 20 was. It's very easy to know what a 2 and a 0 is.
What do you think is a play?
Obviously, 20. The mental side of things, because they're going into it already understanding, okay, we're missing so many of our key guys, this is going to be tough. And then it's the worst loss in club history. Of course, that does worry me mentally. And everything they've gone through, it does.
Who have they got this week? Like, they got players back. Like, I get it. And that percentage actually means something. They have open air games Saturday night. I was going to try and get
Slow
there.
it down. I don't care what you do. Slow that thing down and hope for rain. Pray for rain.
You know the game doesn't get cancelled, mate. This ain't cricket. They just close the roof.
Slide around the floor. I don't care what you do. We're going to lose by 40.
Just quickly, Adelaide. Huge crowd. We talked a little earlier about Sydney and their fans continuing to show up. The Adelaide fans just show up. And it has been a kind of sucky last 3 or 4 years. But kudos to you. And they were repaid on Saturday night. Nearly 10,000 in the joint. And they were outstanding, Copes, your former team.
They played fantastic basketball. I think it was the 25th anniversary of their championship team. So those guys were there.
They were there earlier than this game. The
crowd was fired up. So when you go out there and play, and you play in the first place team, Melbourne United, and you get a win, you know how much confidence they're going to have going into this next game? DJ was outstanding the first quarter. Shot the ball well, and everyone just bought in, man. Everyone bought in. So
this is one of those danger games for Melbourne too, right? Because you go in there, you're expecting that your talent alone, you're going to get the job done, but you're coming in against a team that has a free swing, can get the job done. DJ, you mentioned, was enormous, and this is the kind of way that the fans want to see. This is why they keep packing it out, because when they're up and about, and Trey Kell's been balling out as well, so good things happened on Saturday night. And then you mentioned that anniversary team. They may have started that reunion party a week before. They might have been started a week before, had one sleep in between, and rocked up to the game, as they should. It's something to reminisce about.
Jerseys are sweet as well, of course.
Oh, now here's my thing on that.
Yeah.
Will they keep wearing that? We've seen teams. I think Illawarra decided to throw it back on because they won a game.
You know my theory on jerseys. It doesn't matter if it's Indigenous jersey or retro jersey. Clubs should be allowed to wear whatever jersey they want on any single night. Like if someone wanted to roll out the Indigenous jersey this weekend,
why not?
They should be allowed to, right? As long as it doesn't clash with the other team. I've got one quick question for both of you. Who guards DJ? Sydney, Adelaide, Thursday night?
I would say with this, it's going to have to be Jalen Galloway to start. Otherwise, Sean Bruce would be a pest. That's what Sean Bruce does really well.
If Sean Bruce guards DJ, we could have a little rumble in.
And I think that's where McMood's probably thinking. Yeah, Jalen Galloway's probably like the more elite defender. One of the best defenders in the league. But Sean Bruce is going to maybe put him off his game. But is that the one you want to poke the bear? Because DJ, you don't think he's had this game circled? Just like Sydney haven't had this game circled. This game, there's going to be fireworks here. Grab your popcorn.
Who wins?
For some reason, I still think Sydney.
Look, Adelaide have great belief that they can go in and start to ruin people's playoff chances and momentum and all the rest of it.
Free swings.
And so, well, they should, right? They're playing with house money and they proved it last Saturday night. They've now got to back it up. They've got to back it up at home 5 days, 6 days, 5 days later. I like the way they're playing, but I still think Sydney, and I would start with Galloway.
You know what? There's something
I would send Galloway straight to DJ and see how we go. The Bruce thing, I get it, but I'd put Bruce back to the bench because they're not getting anything off the bench. I'd start the imports and go, there you go, guys. You can sulk all you want, but you're starting 5. Prove that you deserve your paycheck.
There's something about a good team losing at home and then going on the road and having that us against the world mentality. And I think this is the game for Sydney. They're on the road. They're playing for each other.
Block the noise out.
Block the noise out. My people aren't in the stands. Let's just go get this win.
They'll win Thursday night. They'll win Sunday, and then someone will crown them in, I don't know, some paper, the title favourites again. Quick break. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Back with plenty more next.
For 3. That looks familiar. It looks like he never left.
I mean, the vibes were there. You know, the offensive skill set was there. The defensive skill set was obviously there. Being able to work with the guys in practice and seeing how they have just taken on the challenge of just possession by possession, game by game, minute by minute. It was very encouraging for me when I first got here. So I thought right away when I got here it was a championship caliber team. And I'm glad to be a part of it. I think what's next for me is just, analyzing where I can get better, where I can help the team, and just keep building from here. Obviously, my goal is to get back to that level and win us a championship here with the guys, and I'm not stopping until I do that.
Huge win for the Brisbane Bullets in Sydney Sunday afternoon. Casey Prather returns to the NBL. A little minutes restriction, but did play really well. Came straight on, hit a 3, hit 1 late, as we did see there as well. Nathan Sobey was outstanding. Got a shout out here, Shannon Scott, who I thought was really good. I know statistically he probably didn't have a huge night that we've seen in the past, but he was good. They are an interesting team, Brisbane.
Yes, they are. Speak about Scott. I thought he was great last year for Cairns. We brought him in to control the ball, to take the ball out of Sobey's hands, because Sobey was not a point guard, okay? Now Sobey's playing a lot better because you're running plays for him, you're getting him going, or whatever. Sobey's going to need some help offensively. Now, in the beginning, Smith was a very good shooter. For some reason, he's fallen off or fallen out. We got to find him some help scoring because teams are going to start double teaming. And once you start doing that, and then that's when he starts rushing shots, and that's when the Brisbane Bullets do this.
Their second option scoring-wise is Josh Bannon. He's their most consistent performer right now. He's very good. You talk about Next Generation Award. He's right in the mix for that. And they're an interesting team, aren't they? Because of what they could do. Finish off the season to have a look like, but then next year's the big thing that they're pushing towards. And out of all teams, what their off-season looks like, I think they might be best placed to make some big moves with everything that's going on. Their bench being locked away, Justin Schuller, this is something that he's done really well. He's gone and got players. So have a look at their contract status. So I'm talking about Josh Bannon, Sam McDaniel, Mitch Norton, then the 2 imports, they have 2-year deals. Just getting Sam McDaniel and Mitch Norton under contract, right, and Josh Bannon, that's huge. They're culture pieces, that matters, and obviously what Josh Bannon's doing. Harrison's been really good. We'll touch on Casey Prather in a bit. Nathan Sobey's a no-brainer, and Isaac White's probably a no-brainer as well. So to have that already locked in, and then with the Baines big contract potentially not being, well, it won't be the same money next year if he does come back to Brisbane. So to have that option, to have some more money to throw around, they look like they're in a very, very promising situation for NBL 25. So I think the back end of the season, they're still trying to make the play and see what kind of damage they can do. But again, would you put them up in the Perth and Melbourne category? No, not right now. Not yet. But the way they're building towards, I think Schuller's done a tremendous job. And that's why the Casey Prather thing, we spoke about it last week.
We did.
It's a great signing because you can see he's just getting a bit of dust out of the cobwebs. There's no doubt about that. He hasn't played for 2 years. And watching that game, he only played the 10 minutes but played well. It's going to take a while for him to mentally trust his body too. Yeah. Right? You could see that. You could kind of see he didn't want to explode off in certain directions. So just to get those cobwebs off by the end of the season, and then if he's looking really good, then you pick up the option for next year.
The 2 imports, though. What do you think about the 2 imports?
Well, Shannon Scott, you mentioned he looked real. I thought he looked good. Last year, he disappeared at times for Cairns, but then when a key player was out, he had a 30 ball against Sydney. So I think he does love playing against Sydney, first and foremost. And I think he's a key piece for their future for next next year. I really do, behind Mitch Norton, because once he has that aggression and really locks in like he did on Sunday, I think he's a perfect piece to put alongside Nathan Sobey. That's why they went after him. And Chris Smith's the question mark, right? Because when he did move to the bench and he had a couple of really good games, and then probably 3-game stretch, he subbed in and nothing was ran for him.
Yeah.
And again, when you've got an elite shooter coming off the bench, that's not how you use him in that role. And I think his confidence was down, because you think about Clint Steiner, when he comes off the bench, what do?
Straight first point.
Whack, whack.
Yep.
Let's run something for him as well. So I think that's the kind of way they need to look at it, because Sobey does need help, but right now Sobey's balling out as well.
I know we've still got 7 weeks to go until the playoffs, and then the playoffs still to go, but if you're a Brisbane Bullets fan, you must be so excited about the future, which is something that probably hasn't always been in the front of your mind. There's been some issues. We didn't have them in the league for a long period of time, which obviously sucked. They have set this up beautifully. And like the Casey Prather situation, they get a good look at him now, and it's more maybe about what Prather is feeling compared to how the Brisbane Bullets are feeling right now. They have that relationship. Nathan Sobey's really balling out. Rocco's only going to be better next year. I like Shannon Scott under contract, as we saw a moment ago. Make Sobey absolutely better. This team, I said this about 6 weeks ago on this show. They've got something brewing. I said, Brisbane Bullets fan, you've got something brewing, and I firmly believe that's still going forward. Now, the Aaron Baines situation's interesting.
Yes.
Because as Olgun spoke about, the 2-year deal on relatively decent money, we believe, is ended. But they should be moving heaven and earth, and the Sikorsky camp should be doing likewise to make sure he is still involved with the Brisbane Bullets and with Rocco. Now, I don't know the legalities of him being an assistant coach and a player and working with Rocco where he can make more money on the side as his one-on-one coach. I don't know. I don't know if that's legal, but there's always ways around certain things. But Rocco Sikorsky and his camp should be absolutely tapping into every single thing you could with Aaron Baines. With the career that Aaron Baines has had, not necessarily here, but in the NBA and internationally, that young man should be learning and is learning from him, and they should make sure that continues next year.
And you can see the difference game by game. Rocco, first couple of games, looked like a rookie. He got better every single game, and now when you put him in the game, you expect him to block shots, you expect him to score. But Harrison as well. Harrison got better. Harrison was, I shouldn't say terrible, he was bad last year.
Yep.
He's playing so much better now. So you're right. Baines needs to be around somewhere to help these guys.
Schuler has coached the 3 bigs really well from a game perspective. And
Well,
I think we did say that on
of
Sunday.
credit to Greg Vanderjet as well.
Yeah, that's also true.
He would have a big say, if not most of the
Very,
say.
very true. So the coaching staff, and they do it really well. We see it in the 4th quarter where there's been some worries with Brisbane. In fact, at Kudos Bank Arena this season, they knew in the 4th quarter, had a nice lead, but things getting a little bit tight. Baines went out there for a couple of minutes, did his thing. Rocco had played some moments earlier, in particular in that 2nd quarter. So they deserve credit, the coaching staff. I shouldn't just talk about the head coach, but coaching staff. But Baines, again, because he isn't the Aaron Baines that he has been in the past, and what he's come back from is monumental and hell of a lot more important in basketball. But next year, the money won't be there. The expectation isn't quite at Aaron Baines' level that it was when he first signed this deal. I think he's really crucial.
Will other teams chase him?
Well,
they should.
We talked about this season looking at the elite bigs around. Like again, if you're trying to look at him and have enough to throw as like a backup big, but again, in that kind of development role, I don't know if Brisbane want to lose him for that reason.
Yeah.
Because, hey, okay, Rocco needs to have more minutes next season as well, but he's obviously improved a lot just learning from you day to day. So it's a very interesting watch, and other teams around the league, and you kind of need that kind of piece you can throw out there.
You know what's funny? He's in Queensland. What if he went to Cairns?
But you're talking about Brisbane, and I go back to Sydney, right? When I talk about NBL and how to contend or how to win a title, Sydney have proven in the last 2 years, in Melbourne and Perth before that. Your superstars will get you to a final series. They will get there if they're good enough in the season to do what they're paid to do. They will get you to a final series. Your bench, your core will win you a title.
Yep.
Every other previous history in a title winner has shown that. So Brisbane have already got that locked in for next year, and they're going to have some money freed up to go and get those superstars if they need to. Very, very good spot to be on Brisbane Island.
You know what?
William's there.
He absolutely
That's where he is.
That's where he is right now. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Pete Hooley came off the bench for a championship team once, and now he's got this series. Hey, quick break. Plenty more. Plenty more NBL overtime next.
He played 2 minutes.
Actually, one of my teammates, Copeland.
Lanard Copeland.
Lanard Copeland. That's him.
He's from Georgia.
He's from Georgia.
Yeah.
Played with me for the Sixers. Moved to Australia.
Yeah.
Married an Australian girl. Played basketball over there for 20 years.
Yeah.
and it's been there for close to 30 years now.
Yeah.
And I talked to him. He's just a really good dude. And he says, and like I say, I loved it over there. Lanard is one of my favorite teammates. We used to give him a bunch because in his bio, he said he was majored in aeronautical engineering. And we said, what's that, a sky cap? I said, they're not going to let your ass near a plane. We should give him something. I said, hey, sky cap. We gave him the nickname Sky Cap. He said, yo, man, y'all need to leave me alone. He said, dude, you don't want to put aeronautical engineering as your major. They're not going to let you near a plane. They're not even going to let you fix a plane. And he is from Atlanta.
Yeah, he is. He's from Marietta,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really a great kid.
He's a great guy, Lanard. Yeah, he and Andrew Gaze.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's another one. Don't want to leave him out.
No.
I mean, because, man, that dude could shoot that thing.
He took down Kenny in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Remember at the, or was it Sydney? It was one of those anyway. He took down Kenny and...
I would love to go. Let's do something in Australia.
There you go. We're going to get you in Australia because...
I would love to.
There's a steam room and your man Chuck talking very nicely about you.
Yeah, Charles is a good guy.
But don't be shy, mate. You sent it to me.
Wow.
You know what? He's been shy and humble. He sent it to me and goes, get this on the show.
Come on, bro.
Big time, man. Big time.
No,
That's cool, man. That's you would need to get him out of here.
is
Man.
cool.
That's the next thing. You got to try and get him out.
When did you last speak to Chuck?
about a month and a half ago.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's doing well. He's making a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's for
he's
sure.
making a lot of money.
And I asked him about coming out here, and he goes, "Just don't have the time." He's
He
doing
said
a show
you're
with
making.
CNN,
Yeah, he said you're making money too.
Yeah,
He
right.
said-
Yeah, sure. But he's doing well, man.
Wow, this
Good to
probably-
talk to him.
I do love that he said that you were both from Georgia and
Yeah.
from Atlanta. Just to clarify,
Just to
that
clarify
you
what
can
Georgia
be
he was
both.
talking about.
You can be both.
We did try to get Charles on the show and sack Copes, but Lanard is...
You don't have enough money.
That is true. We only just could afford you. Hey, let's get to the NBL and the Boomers. Andrew Bogut, who is very well credentialed and equipped to talk about this conversation. This is what he said on his podcast, and it's about the fact that guys are not playing in the NBA compared to players who are playing regular basketball. I'd almost argue that you would take a guy playing in the NBL at 35 minutes a game to a guy that's getting DNPs in the NBA. Now, our three almost highest profile NBAers, in particular when it comes to the Boomers, Patty Mills, Jock Landale and Joe Ingles. There's the numbers there. They haven't necessarily played a great deal, in particular Patty currently. Copes, what do you make of it? Not necessarily just from this perspective, but for guys who haven't played but have such a long-standing history and a successful history coming off that wonderful bronze in Tokyo.
Well, you need those guys for the culture, and that's what the Boomers have done well, better than anybody else, I think. You bring those older guys back in to make sure the younger guys do the right thing in the future, okay? Here's the problem, though. You got so many young superstars that are playing in the NBA now from Australia. Who do you not take? If Ben Simmons decides to play and he's healthy.
But he's not playing either. He's not playing.
No.
That's my point.
He's injured right now.
He's injured right now.
But it's the same. It doesn't matter the reason why you're not playing. You're not playing, right?
Right, of course. But you got so many stars that are playing. You got so many guys that are playing. Who do you leave out? I don't know if I can take both Ingles and Patty Mills because of their age. I just don't know.
What do you do?
Oh, I think all three of those are going to go.
I agree.
I do agree with Bogues, though. And again, having played, and you've played at a much higher level than I have, but you can attest, okay, for those guys who've been sitting on the bench not playing a whole lot, to roll out straight into a camp, into some game, they're going to be underdone compared to the guys like Chris Goldie and the guys who are rolling around midstream. These guys that are playing those big minutes, they're going to be at different levels of feel for the game at that time, being ready to roll. And Paddy's unique, though, because you put on a green and gold jersey and he just turns in Super Saiyan anyway. He just goes and does what he has. But it's a very interesting thing that Brian Gorge is going to have to figure out.
Here's my question, quick. The way Chris Golden's shooting the ball right now, do you take him or Ingles as your shooter? Right now, the way he's shooting the ball, and he's playing 30 minutes a game.
I think they'll both be
I think
on
I'm
the
taking
team.
both. I don't think that decision.
Who plays in?
I think we'll see a different starting five. It wouldn't surprise me to see Patty Mills. Ingles came off the bench at the World Cup.
He played the
Patty
four,
Mills
though, because of
might do
injuries.
that. That's something else that has to be taken into context around the World Cup. There was no Jock Landale.
Yes.
And the fact he isn't playing in the NBL, NBA sucks at the moment, but the fact is, because he wasn't there, really hurt them.
And Reith is balling out right now. So
absolutely.
If you're Gorge, maybe you're looking at, you could have Reith and Lando on the floor together who can stretch the floor, and that can change our shooting woes.
Bolden, do you look at Bolden?
The way, he's got to
at
finish
Bolden,
off the season.
no. I mean, you look at him and going to camp, yes, but Jonah Bolden would be stunned if he made the Olympic team.
With the way Job Reith is playing.
You know what? A lot of people have jumped off the Boomers. They'll win a medal in Paris. I am still got a huge amount of belief.
That's a big call.
They'll get to Paris. Olympics easier than a World Cup. Less teams get on a roll, end up getting another medal. Quick break. Yes or no? Are you doing Sanders watching?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, excellent. That's next. This is NBL Overtime.
That's a big call.
That's a big boy. All right, Copes, when Sanders away, Pete saves the day. So I'm having a looking around. So this is notorious for Mitch Craig. Every time he doesn't give away burgers. This is I feel like he does it on purpose now. Did you see this? It's not Valentine's Day, but just for everyone out there, a little,
nice.
little action from JC. This, no one likes this. No one likes this from Jack McVay. He was down for a while, and so he should. That's I'm throwing Pat Miller out, to be honest. You just that's just not fun. Jordan Crawford was all over the place here. That's the perfect height to walk into one of the interviews with Marcus Lee. Having a little laugh, and I'm not sure about doing bunny ears to someone who won an Australian Open.
Oh, yeah.
That's Sophia Kennan. We can't be doing that. So there's always stuff going on, even though Liam's taking a well-deserved break, if that's what he's doing. Or
He's in Brisbane.
He's on Brisbane Island.
Yep.
Now, just before we get to the end of the show, I just have a very important announcement to make.
Oh.
History is about to be made. This has never happened in 6 years of the show.
Wow.
Every yes or no question is going to both of you, and you both have an opportunity to answer every question. It's never happened.
I'm Sixth Man of the Year for that.
So I don't want you stuffing around and umming and ahhing. It's a yes or no. I'm going to start with you. Is JLA a legit NBA prospect?
Yes.
Yes.
Will McDowell White, Copes, will he be in as high demand in this off-season as he was last?
No.
Yes.
All right. Would you play Jordan Usher in crunch time?
I'm trying to think over who right now. No.
Yes.
Should the league look to introduce a Singapore franchise again, i.e. the Slingers, before Gold Coast?
No.
Not before Gold Coast.
Okay. Will Nathan Sobey be at the Bullets next year?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Okay, lastly, should
easy.
Liam, this is a legit question.
All right.
Right? Should Liam be invited to the NBA green room on draft night? We're going to have maybe 4 next day.
Yeah, man. Put
That's
it
a
in
good
there.
one,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Michael Bryden, who hit me up last week and said, this is legit. He hit me up and he said, Liam should absolutely be there on draft night. And I think it's a brilliant
Stop
idea.
that. Let him shake. Takes our
I think he
silver
should
out.
go
Let
up.
him shake the
With the number
hand.
1 seed, we select Alex Sard and Liam.
Liam
walks
Sard.
up.
Give him a hug. Give him all the
I like
players.
it.
Give him a hug.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. See ya.